Hey guys, how you doing? This is Mango etc. and I'm here today to bring you the review for One Piece episode 703. Now, in this episode, I feel that the first half was the most important half, and then just after that was like, but we do learn quite a few things in this chapter, in this episode. Sorry, the first things I'm gonna mention off the bat is Corazon. So we learn quite a few things about Corazon. We learn that basically this whole time he's been lying. His whole act of being mute and being clumsy, even though it was shown that he still is clumsy afterwards. He says everything he's been doing, how he's been acting, has been a facade. It's been something that he's been putting on so he can accomplish his main goal, which is to stop Don Flamingo. We also learn later on within the episode that Corazon has actually been working for the Marines this whole time. He's actually a commanding officer, I think, was within the Marines, even though he does later on deny this to Law. We also find out that he has a devil fruit ability. It was called the calm fruit. He's a soundless man, and what his devil fruit power allows him to do is to create like areas or rooms. See what I did there? Or rooms or just areas of silence where within that area, everything outside the area can't be heard. So knowing that Corazon is working for the Marines, we can also safely assume that this is why he's been, because the kids were mentioned when he had his phone conversation with Sengoku. We can also assume that this is why, for like all this time, Corazon has been horrible to the kids, just throwing them out the window and stuff, because it was all because he was trying to get them away from Don Flamingo, basically. A little bit was mentioned about the D's, and how we basically learn through Corazon that all celestial dragons from a very young age have been learned to fear D's, and we also find out that how if the celestial dragons are considered the gods, then all the D's are considered to be like the god's natural enemy. So a little bit of information into the D's. We don't learn nothing solid. We don't learn what the D stands for, but we're slowly getting there. So eventually we'll get there and we'll be like, yo. So that's what all this hype has been about all this time. But for now, that's all we get to find out, and it's something that I'm sure you've assumed. I know I have assumed from the get-go. I've assumed this all before. So moving on within the episode, the rest of the episode really, before I talk about that, I need to mention how, so after Law got all this information, he was like, I'm telling, I'm going to Don Flamingo right now, and I'm telling him. We later on do find out that he does change his mind, and it's simply because Corazon didn't tell Don Flamingo about him stabbing him in the back, so he figures, yeah, now we're even. Before I talk about the second half, I do want to mention one last thing that happened in the first half. We get to finally see the birth of, I call it the birth of the Don Flamingo we now know and love. We get to see why he has become the way he is, and it goes back to when him, his brother, and his dad were stringed up. You get to see the brother and the dad, they're basically just begging for their lives, begging for them to stop. But on the other hand, we see Don Flamingo, and he's not begging for his life at all. He is really just, he's flipped. He's like, yo, when I get free, you're all dead. When I get free, you guys are dead. If I catch you slipping, I am killing you all. Let it be known. I have warned you now. So do you know what? Do what you gotta do. Because when I'm free, what I do to you is going to be so much worse. It's going to be peak for you. I'm not saying no more. But yeah, that happened in the first half, and I was like, yo, and then we get to see like the eyes from his glasses perspective, and I was like, whoa, okay. But we get to see that, and yeah, that's why I call it the birth of the Don Flamingo we know and love. Because before that, we have seen him as a kid, and he was just living the celestial dragon life, and then he had to come down to the human world, so to say, and he was birthed at first, and then he's like had to adapt, and then all this madness happened to him, and that's why he flipped, and that's why he's the Don Flamingo we know and love today. The second half of the episode was quite, I don't know how to say it. It was because all it basically was Corazon and Law going from hospital to hospital looking for a cure. The good thing about this second half is because, for me anyway, we get to see that how Law and Corazon grew closer together as this second half happened. We get to also see the bit at the very end of it where we get to see Law we got to see Law call Corazon Corazon for the first time. He made him breakfast, and we just get to see a lot of other stuff with how Law getting piggybacked by Corazon as time went on. The best thing about this second half was when they visited the first hospital and they extended the scene where like they find that he's got the white lead disease, and then they're all bugging out. That scene was extended from what it was in the manga, and it just, like I've been saying for this whole flashback, it just emphasized and it just made the impact of this made the impact of the seriousness of this issue hit home more, especially for me anyway. But yeah, just seeing them, other than after that, just seeing them go from hospital to hospital, it was more like, okay, I get it now. They had to go to all these different hospitals. The last thing I do want to talk about is how they flipped at the very end. They flipped back out of the flashback, and they went back to Law fighting Don Flamingo, and then Luffy fighting the String Clone and Bellamy. I think that was a bad move on the animator's part, because there's still more of the flashback, and there was really no reason to go out of it. I would have rathered they ended the episode a minute early, because that's all it really was, a minute tops early, rather than go back into the present timeline and show us what's going on there. I don't think that was necessary. I think that even though it was a minute, I think it just took away from the episode and what the episode's focus was on. The minute should have been spent. It couldn't have easily been spent within the flashback, and that's my personal opinions. My rating for this episode is going to be a 3.5 star, but like always guys, I'm asking for your thoughts and opinions. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, but most importantly, take care. Have a nice day.